I'm David Ben Moshe, and I have with me Chaim Ben Pesach. And tonight I'd like to talk about our president, George Bush, George W. Bush, George Wahhabi Bush, who hasn't done enough to hurt this country with his immigration policy. Now he wants to he wants to revive the immigrant bill, and we know that bill is a disaster. Why is that bill 400 pages long so that nobody knows what's going on inside of it? And they can make it up as they go along, because who will know what it really says when it's 400 pages long? Why isn't a bill maybe a page and a quarter? You could see they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes. But anyway, George Bush wants to revive that bill. He was pushing for immigration all through his presidency. He screwed up with the war in Iraq. He screwed up with his affirmative access, his affirmative action. He's just screwed up one after another. And now he wants to give Kosovo back to Albania. He wants to give Kosovo to Albania. Kosovo has been part of Serbia for centuries, an integral part of Serbia. But Muslims moved into Kosovo, and as Muslims will do when they become a majority, want to break away and form their own country. Now, as Muslims were attacking Serbs, cutting their heads off, burning their churches, burning their homes, Bill Clinton and the Muslims responded under Milosevic.
The Serbs responded.
I mean, the Serbs responded under Milosevic. It was a little too brutal for Europe and the United States. I guess only the U.S. is allowed to respond to Islamic atrocities. So Europe complained, and Bill Clinton sent American planes in with NATO markings, bombing our allies, the Serbs, who fought with us in 2 world wars, who saved 500 downed flyers from the B-17s and the B-24s, and also saved many Jews, who invited the Jews to come and fight with them in the hills against the Nazis. Our allies of 2 wars, we now bombed because they were responding to Islam's atrocities. Well, of course, after 72 days of bombing and destroying every bridge on the Danube and killing almost, or maybe even more, 2,000 Serbs, I'll say approximately 2,000 Serbs, they gave up. Because they do value life, unlike the Muslims who couldn't care less about life, especially our lives. And now, with UN peacekeepers there, the return to burning Serbian homes and churches is going on. And on top of that, this ninny in the White House wants to give Kosovo to Albania, or at least free Kosovo and make it become another Islamic state. That's just what we need, another Islamic state, another Islamic vote at the UN. The UN isn't silly enough. We got to add another Islamic state to it. And where does our nation, where does our president get the nerve to tell Serbia they have to give up Kosovo? Who is President Bush to tell a what would you call it? Standalone nation? Sovereign. That's the word I'm looking for. Sovereign nation, that they have to give up a piece of their territory that they've had for hundreds and hundreds of years and give it over to Muslims. Does Bush think Islam is going to reward us? I'm sure Islam will reward us, not the way Bush thinks they will. If you remember, after Clinton bombed Serbia for 72 days and stopped the Serbian defense against Islam, Islam rewarded us with 9/11 as a thank you. Chaim?
Well, there's no question it's an outrage. The Serb Christians are a heroic, noble people who tried to do what America and Israel and the whole Western world should be doing to the Muslims, throwing them out of Christian lands and of non-Muslim lands that they have come in to invade. What happened in Kosovo was an outrage. Yugoslavia was a communist nation, and you have the Croatians and the Serbs hated each other in Yugoslavia. Marshal Tito, you remember the communist dictator Tito?
Sure.
Marshal Tito was Croatian, so he hated the Serbs, and he wanted to take. He was ruling over Yugoslavia, so he wanted to take to bring in as many Muslims into Kosovo as possible to destroy that historic Serb province and its sacred historic Serb land, Kosovo, very important Serb land. And so he invited all these Muslims in and enabled them to come in and take over. And also, a lot of Muslims came in illegally, trespassing, something which, of course, we know a lot about in the United States, how they come in illegally. And so in the end, a territory that was completely Serb, that was historically Serb, that has always belonged to the heroic Serb people, that the Serbs paid for with their blood and with their lives and with their honor against the Muslim Nazis who murdered them and tortured them and raped them for centuries. This piece of land that was so essential to Serbia, before you knew it, 90% of the people there were Muslims from Albania. I mean, it was just unbelievable because of the Albanian illegal immigration, the Albanian illegal aliens, the Albanian trespassing, the Albanian drug dealers brought all their people in. And in addition to that, under the communists, Marshal Tito, a Croatian, invited all these people in against the Serbs. So you had an Albanian Muslim majority there, and that's what happens when the Muslims become a majority. That's inevitably what happens. The Albanian Muslim Nazis that chaired George Bush were doing that only for Western ears, by the way. Now, of course, they're happy that Bush is betraying the Serb Christians. They're happy that Bush is assisting the Muslim Nazis establish even a stronger foothold in Europe. But these Albanian Muslim Nazis, you saw they stole his watch even?
Well, they reached out for it, yes.
Yeah.
I think he got it in time and put it in his pocket.
Yeah, well, good for him. If not for that, they would have stolen his hand. They would have ripped his hand off too, the Albanians. But anyway, this is a nation of Muslim terrorists, a nation that supports terrorism, that is involved in terrorism. The Kosovo Liberation Army, the KLA, the so-called Kosovo Liberation Army, which is a terrorist organization of gangsters and drug dealers and people who push pornography and all types of filth all over Europe. These vicious animals are aligned with all the Muslim terrorist organizations. Every Muslim terrorist organization in the world has a connection to the KLA and to the Albanian Muslim terrorists, along with the Bosnian Muslim terrorists in the Balkans. And Bush, like Bill Clinton, supports the Muslim terrorists against the Serb Christians. In World War II, as you mentioned, the Albanian Muslims, the Albanian Muslims and the Bosnian Muslims fought together with the Nazis in World War II.
They actually created 2 SS divisions out of them.
The Mufti of Jerusalem went and formed 2 Waffen-SS units with the Bosnian Muslims. They murdered 800,000 Serb Christians. They had concentration camps against the Serb Christians. They murdered 800,000 Serb Christians together with the Croatians. The Croatians joined them in murdering the Serb Christians. They murdered thousands upon thousands of Serb babies. Just unbelievable the horrible things they did. They raped Serb women. They completely supported Hitler and the Nazis, Yimach Shmam v'Zichram. And they helped murder 90,000 Yugoslav Jews. They transported Yugoslav Jews to German Nazi concentration camps and were participated in the murder of 90,000 Jews in Yugoslavia. The only people that did not hurt the Jews and that actually helped the Jews and fought with the Jews in Yugoslavia were the heroic Serb Christians. And this is what we do to the Serb Christians because they decided to throw the Albanian Muslim terrorists out of their land, their historic homeland. This is what we do. These are leaders that are determined to commit suicide. They are determined to help the Muslims. George Bush is a traitor. He's a vicious, disgusting serpent. And all of the other animals, like Bill Clinton, are the same way. This is the establishment. You wanted to say something? We have a minute left.
Okay, Islam is not even the natural religion for Albania or Bosnia. These countries were conquered by Islam, forced to become Muslim centuries ago. But your natural religion is Christianity. The European religion is Christianity. And you should really throw those shackles of Islam off and join the brotherhood of Europe.
Well, that's not going to happen.
I know it's
That is not going to happen. These are Muslims. They're the enemy. And they are people who accepted Islam. Actually, they accepted Islam when the Turkish Muslims came. They accepted Islam because they wanted to make life easier for themselves. The Serbs were the heroes who refused to accept. But anyway, you see our website. You see our forum. Join with us. Help us defeat Islam. Help us save America and Western civilization. Shalom.